Today we're just checking out 5 random knives. I just picked these knives out because they're good knives. When I was going through some knives, I was like, these are some good knives right here. And this one is the Max Ace Beetle S. Now, if you listen, it's got a very unique sound because it has a lot of stops. And what that does is it makes it really safe for you to open up and close. You know, it has a little spot that constantly clicks and it makes a cool sound. But what's awesome about this knife in particular, and I really wish they'd make a locking version of this knife exactly the same, just a locking version, is this blade. Look at how thin this blade is. This thing is insanely slicey. I'm talking about, like, there's not very many knives that cut as good as this. 75 thousandths blade stock thickness. Behind the edge thickness is 11 thousandths. Now, if you guys don't know, like, geometry, here's just an average knife. We're talking 158 thousandths blades. It's like half the thickness of that. So it shows you how slicey this thing is. And it's using a titanium with this beautiful carbon fiber. Very good ergonomics. Like, this is just incredibly comfortable. This is something that you can bear down on all day, let alone it being so ridiculously slicey. And the blade steel is an M390, so you're getting a super steel. Even if Max Ace is running their M390 a little bit on the softer side, the geometry alone will definitely increase this steel's performance. So let's get to the next one. The next one is from QSP. Now, this is the QSP Swordfish. Now, if you like this knife or like the design or whatever, if you want a smaller version of it, the Penguin is a good option too. There might even be a smaller Swordfish, but the Penguin comes in a button lock form or a liner lock form. They have a ton of different options. They have frame locks. They have literally every option you could think of. But this is the Swordfish, and what I kind of like about this one, a little bit more so than the Penguin, is this, how this tip beaks out. The Penguin kind of curves down a little bit farther. This one really peaks out and gives you a high performance tip. This level of precision is hard to beat. And because it's a nice straight edge, you can get your cuts all the way out to the very tip without it sliding out of your cuts. This has 14C 28N blade steel with a beautiful stone wash. Burlap micarta on this one, but there is other options. Deep carry wire clip that is reversible, and it is a button lock. They do a good job with their detent on their button lock. I have had a couple QSPs that did have, you know, some up and down play. Actually, my original one of this model had that, and they sent me a new one. So that was awesome. But, you know, it's something that, you know, companies seem to have to, you know, kind of work on over time, and then they eventually get right. And I think QSP is starting to do a good job with their button locks. At least the last few that I've gotten have been really good, or at least decently good. But I remember the beginning ones weren't the best. But yeah, detent, solid detent, phenomenal detent. And yeah, very ergonomic, great geometry. This is just an amazing user. Now, the next one is a very budget-friendly knife. This is by Manala. So Manala, it makes, they have like four different versions of this. You got all the way down to like one that's like 20-something dollars. This one's under 50 bucks. It's like $43 or something like that. Maybe even a little bit less, but it's a titanium frame lock in 14C 28N with a dual ground drop point blade. And what's awesome about this is 14C is a steel that companies, even budget companies that are mass producing steels in order to get them to you at a very reasonable price or a very good price. A lot of steels, you know, they don't do well in mass production. 14C does. It was designed and made for mass production. It was designed and made, it was originally AEBL, and it was designed and made to be heat treated on a conveyor belt rapidly so that they could pump out razor blades. The 14C is basically a hyped up version of that steel. And it is, in my opinion, an amazing affordable steel. And this one comes with a great detent. super solid action, great ergonomics, and, you know, good cutting geometry while also still holding some toughness, you know, because you have the flat grind up there. So if you did want to pick at something, plus 14C is a very, very tough steel, like off the charts toughness. Now the deep carry clip, this is actually, I know it looks kind of cheap on this knife, but hear me out. The reason why this clip is awesome is because most companies that are making knives at this price range like this put a titanium mill pocket clip on there that doesn't work. They're always horrible. I have a bunch of those knives and I would never recommend them because their clip is just horrifying. This is a very basic fold over deep carry pocket clip. So this one will be very smooth and out of the pocket. So if you're looking for a titanium frame lock for a very, very low price, check this guy out. I'll link everything down in the description. Next is a Reich. This is the Reich Illusion. Now, Reich is absolutely killing it. They have a ton of amazing, amazing designs. And this one has a drop point, dual ground, recurved Tonto. It is a mouthful. An M390 steel. You got a titanium milled pocket clip, lots of milling on the inside of that titanium. The action is insane. Really, really good action. The front flipper, this is a phenomenal front flipper to learn on because it pokes up nice and proud. Jimping goes pretty much all the way up there to the top, and you just have a ton of leverage. So it's very easy to use, super ergonomic. You can choke up right behind that edge, and this little bit of recurve will help trap materials for like longer cuts. And since the tip, or since the spine is not a straight back, it's pretty easy to get to the tip of this knife or the secondary tip, you know, just depending on which one you want to use for that moment. The titanium mill pocket clip works decently well. You have a hidden lanyard pin back there. I kind of like the back spacer here. It kind of almost looks like it's just the machining of it, I guess. The machining of it looks really, really good in my opinion. Now you can see they did put the stop pin behind the edge, but they put it in the thicker portion right there. So this one you'll get, you know, you'll get your life out of it. If you ever sharpen it that much, the knife will be pretty much over with anyways, or at least for the most part. And you can always just continue to sharpen from here forward and try not to sharpen this out. So this one's actually okay. It does have a fuller for the reverse flick. That works actually pretty good. The detent on this is not super strong, so it makes it a lot easier to deploy it off of that fuller. So the fuller is actually functional and it's not just for show. But it's a sleek design while being nice and slim, slicey, and, you know, just a useful little design that's that has a little pop, a little flair. And some people like a little pop and a little flair. Next is the Luft Avant. Now, this knife is on sale right now on Blade HQ. This one is the most affordable one. I think it's like a little over $200. This is made by Riette. M390 blade with a titanium liner lock. This one has the shred carbon fiber. Like I said, this is the one that is on has a really good sale on it. Hand satin finish. Then over here, which this is my favorite version with the belt satin. I love that belt satin finish. Deep hollow grind, by the way. Very, very thin, nice and broad blade. We have a micarta handle with a deep carry wire clip. Good access to the liner. Like I said, titanium liner, titanium backspacer. Phenomenal reverse or thumb flicking action. Flipper tab, the leverage point is nice and high. So it's very snappy, and it's, you know, it's a cool knife. It's definitely something that, you know, in the hand, you know, as far as use goes, and you can really appreciate the ergonomics with something like this because you can choke up, you can choke back, you can get good pinch grips. The spine is crowned on it. The tip does not go up too high relative to the pivot, so you can get to it. You can also get to the belly. So awesome, awesome knife. And, you know, there's not a lot of Riette made knives that are, you know, around this price range. Most of Riette's knives are quite a bit more. Then the last one we're going to check out is from AM8 or Migon Knives. Migon Knives, man, they're killing it, man. They're doing a really good job. Yes, I have my complaints here and there for some things they're doing, but they have some models that are just, swinging way above the price range. This knife has a beautiful spear point dual ground blade. Love the satin finish on this dual ground blade. Then we have this diamond pattern machining on the titanium that offers this tactile finish, so very grippy in the hand without being like overly grippy or sharp. Titanium mill pocket clip that actually works pretty well. I don't have a problem with this one, and I do have a problem with some of their clips, but this one's a good one. The ergonomics are just so good. This is a big knife. It's a large knife, but man, when you get it in hand, it's like you feel like you have a ton of control over such a big knife. The front flipper, Migon does some of the best front flippers out there. They've you know, listened to the feedback of people that know what a good front flipper looks like and what it entails, like the type of jimping it uses, from how high the jimping goes to the type of detent you're going to have, and this is a phenomenal example of that. The fuller right here is very grippy, and it allows you to get a nice snap. A lot of fullers are smooth and they don't have a sharp edge. This one does, so it allows the hold to basically grip your finger back when you're going to deploy it so that you don't slip out of it. All in all, this one is one of my favorite Migon knives. Between this one, the Flix 2, and maybe one or two other models. They have a bunch of models, so you know, that's saying a lot. This one is definitely one of my favorites. I think they did a really good job with it. The blade steel is M390 steel. We do see Migon playing around with a couple other steels. They need to bump their HRC up a little bit, but yeah, the heat treats aren't bad. They just, like I said, there's just some softer heat treated steels that they're using. But yeah, awesome, awesome knife. This one definitely a looker and definitely a user. Great knife for somebody wanting to get a nice titanium frame lock that performs. Look at how smooth that is. Look at that. Whew. So there you guys go. Work hard, stay tough. Until next time, peace.